Hello, Little House friends. I am Laura Ingalls Gunn, and this is Lessons with Laura. It's hard to believe that 11 weeks have flown by since we first started this series, and I decided to title this episode Season Finale because I don't think this is the end. In many ways, we are just starting our adventures together, and I can't wait to tell you what's in store for the future. Now, last week I mentioned that we are now going to be transitioning into a Tasha Tudor Christmas. And I received several emails and messages on my Instagram asking why I couldn't just continue the series but have a Little House themed Christmas. And here is our Grace wanting up, so we'll pick her up. Okay, she wants to say hello too. So you may not be aware that I have written the lifestyle website Decor to Adore for the past 13 years. I started in 2008, and each Christmas I select a different theme to come to life in our home, aptly titled Storybook Cottage. And so I have done Little House on the Prairie in the past, and I will link to the many episodes that I shared in the description box below. You'll just need to click more and then click on the link. And why I selected Tasha Tudor is she feels like a very familiar friend to Little House. If you know anything about her, she was also a children's book author as well as an amazing illustrator. And she had a beautiful 1750s style home that her son Seth had built for her in Vermont. And her way of living was, many called it primitive or frontierism, but I find it very enchanting. And so I wanted to bring some of that magic to our home. And the costume behind is actually one that I have created for Laura in the past, but the apron and the dress itself is very reminiscent of something that Tasha would have worn. She was also very famous for wearing kerchiefs either around her neck or on her head, and I just finished the one that you see behind me. Grace is getting antsy. She now wants to be put down. So we'll do that. If anything, it's always real life here at Storybook Cottage. And I hope you enjoy that I am real and I share my realness. So I'm really excited because a few weeks ago, I actually went to the Little House on the Prairie site in Independence, Kansas, and I'm going to take you on a very special tour. But first, let's take a look at the neckerchief that I just finished. I actually made this dress 2 years ago to wear to costume college. They were having a morning tea, and by morning I mean MOURNING. And during the Victorian era, shades of gray and lavender were often worn. And I love color, so I opted to make this puffed sleeve confection. And the apron is one that I created a few years ago, but the small checked print is definitely something Tasha Tudor would have made. Now, this neckerchief is made from a fabric that is called block print. And so the layers are stamped onto the fabric by each color. And it became very popular in the late 1700s through the Regency era. And I opted to sew everything by hand because, of course, during that time period, the sewing machine had not been invented. And this was the first time I had done a rolled hem, and I was pretty pleased with how it turned out. So you might see me wearing it on my head or around my neck in a future Tasha Tudor video. Now I'm excited to tell you about everything that is going on in the Little House world. As I mentioned, I had recently traveled to the Little House on the Prairie cabin, and it is really undergoing quite a bit of work right now. They are trying to raise funds to rebuild the huge barn that is on the site. As you'll be soon seeing in the next segment, there are several animals on the property that the owners have rescued, and they just need better shelter for the winter months because they do often get snow there, and the various horses and donkeys and dogs and birds and other menagerie need to be kept from the elements. And so we are currently in the process of trying to apply for various grants so that can happen. And the barn will be built in an authentic manner using tools that Pa would have had at his disposal during that time period in the 1870s. And because there are so many people who are interested in preserving that type of building style as well as the construction techniques, we are trying to create a documentary of this event. And it is really exciting because both the Ingalls and the Wilder families will be involved in this project. And I will introduce you to a member of the Wilder family who is actually going to be a key figure in rebuilding the barn. For the documentary, I am going to be serving as the authenticity advisor for the clothing because, yes, we are going to be undertaking this project while wearing authentic 1870s clothing. So I do hope to share that process with you in the future. And I think right now, let's just move to the next segment so you can see the wonderful work that's going on. Welcome to the Little House on the Prairie in Independence, Kansas. Want to take a tour? When visitors see the cabin for the first time, they often remark just how small the cabin actually is. Now, this is a reproduction of the cabin that Pa built for the Ingalls family when they moved to the Kansas territory. And I'll show you all the quaint little areas that were made for the... Inside the cabin, there is a small bed, and it would have had a little trundle bed underneath. The antique quilts that you see on the bed I found at various sites, as well as the red bird pillowcases that Laura talked about in the book. On each window, which is a little bit hard to see, are the curtains that I made for the cabin. And it was heated simply with the hearth, and that's where Ma did all of her cooking. There you can see the curtains a little bit better, and a simple table that Pa would have made from surrounding trees that he found on the prairie. And there's the door. So as you can see, it was a fairly small, cozy, but snug space. And there's the door. Let's explore the site a little bit more. Also on the property is this beautiful Victorian home that serves as the gift shop. Let's go take a peek inside. Inside the farmhouse, you will find all things little house, lovely little sunbonnets, tin mugs, just like Mr. Edwards bought as a Christmas gift so long ago for Laura and Mary. Wonderful artwork, blankets, soaps and jams. And they have a wonderful collection of jewelry and keychains, and a fantastic selection of books. Many of these are often hard to find, so if you just go to their website, you can order the books, and they are so fast on the shipping. Is that you, Rhonda, that does all the shipping as well?
Well, I wish I could take credit for it, but no, that would be Kristen.
And this is Kristen. She is doing some amazing research. So I will link to the site down below because it's an absolute visit for Little House fans and for a wonderful place to find Christmas gifts and holiday presents for those who love Little House. Here is the Sunnyside School. That is a historic building that also was moved onto the site. And at each of the buildings, there are signs that give you the history of it. And I'll leave you to visit and read all of the signs in person. It looks like that school isn't quite in session yet. But here is a stove, and this is where they would have removed their hats and hung them up, especially if it was a snowy day. And over here, there's lots of built-in storage. An amazing collection of artifacts and furniture of the era. It's beautifully done. So charming. Now, my favorite thing at the museum, I'll share next. I have a special treat for everyone.
Oh, nice.
The Ingalls and the Wilders are together again. This is Jason Wilder, and he is the great
great
Nephew
nephew
of Almanzo.
of Almanzo and the great grandson of Eliza Jane.
Yes.
And tell us what you are doing on the property today.
Today we are, actually for quite a few days, I'm going to be tearing out this old metal fence that's been here about 50 years, and we're going to be putting in a new split rail wood fence so it looks more authentic.
I love that, and it's just so wonderful that Laura and Almanzo's family are continuing her legacy through both volunteer and hard work. So that's an amazing tractor that you have. I'll get some more action shots of you working.
All right.
Have a good day. If you stand still, they always approach because they're very curious. Sweetheart, hello. Do you love living at Laura's house? Oh, yes. That feels good, doesn't it? Yes. Here we have a friend who's decided I'm okay. I know I don't have any carrots today. Not today.
I hope you enjoyed that glimpse of Little House life. It is a truly wonderful site, and I hope that you will add it to your must-visit list. I would love it if you will continue on a journey with me. I will be back next Wednesday with the first segment of a Tasha Tudor Christmas. And as always, you are more than welcome to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a happy comment below. I respond to each and every one of them. And may I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving holiday if you celebrate.